Say sorry to me now, before I get angry. The voice cracked through Whitman's like a whip. Every fork, every whisper, every note of background jazz froze in place. Leona Carter stood motionless near the maitre d' podium, dressed in a plain beige sweater and dark pleated skirt. One hand clutched the strap of her violin case. The other held a worn slip of paper, her lost sheet music. Across the white linen tables and polished crystal, Charles Redford, the restaurant manager in a tight black suit, jabbed a finger in her direction. His voice, though lower now, dripped with threat. You don't belong here, girl. Around them, wealthy diners watched with curiosity. A woman pulled out her phone. And then Leona looked up. She didn't flinch. She smiled. What made her smile will break everything wide open. Charles Redford stepped closer, his polished shoes tapping sharply against the marble floor. You can't just walk into this place like it's a school cafeteria. Who let you in? Leona's voice was steady. I just came to check the lost and found. Charles snatched the paper from her hand, scanned it, then crumpled it without hesitation. He dropped it onto the floor like garbage. This trash doesn't belong in my dining room. A few guests chuckled under their breath. One whispered, she's done for. Leona blinked, but didn't move. Her fingers tightened around the handle of her violin case. The silence was growing dense. Then Charles leaned in, voice sharp and theatrical, aware of the eyes watching. Say sorry to me right now. Don't make me angry. A young waiter flinched at the tone. But no one else dared interfere. Leona turned to leave, brushing past a waitress carrying wine glasses. As they touched shoulders, the waitress caught a glimpse of a silver pendant beneath Leona's collar. Her breath caught, but she said nothing. Behind them, Charles barked louder. I said apologize. You people always think the rules don't apply to you. Leona stopped in her tracks. This wasn't just about lost music anymore. But Charles had no idea who he was really talking to. Leona turned slowly, calm now. Her breath no longer trembled. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small white card, holding it between two fingers. Charles sneered. What is that, a complaint form? She stepped forward, voice clear. To Charles Redford, from Leona Carter. Acting representative of Sarah Whitman. The room gasped. Charles blinked. What are you talking about? Footsteps echoed from the back. A silver-haired woman emerged, elegant in heels and a green dress. Sarah Whitman herself. She doesn't need to explain, Sarah said coldly. She speaks on my behalf now. The dining room fell silent. Even the background jazz had stopped. Leona placed the card on a nearby table. Sorry, she said softly, eyes steady. You're fired. The words hit like a bell. Charles stumbled back, color draining from his face. This is a joke. She's just a kid. Sarah stepped beside Leona. That kid saved my life. When cancer stole my strength, she gave me something to live for. No one laughed now. No one moved. But this wasn't over yet, there was something everyone needed to see. The crumpled sheet music still lay on the floor. A server bent down quietly, smoothing it out with gentle hands. The notes were handwritten, delicate. Personal. Leona stood still, her fingers brushing the pendant beneath her collar, shaped like a tiny treble clef. Her mother's. A symbol passed down from her mentor, who had once taught Sarah Whitman how to listen beyond the noise. Flashback, just one night ago. Leona had filled in last minute for a music student too ill to perform. The event, a private charity dinner at Whitman's. No spotlight. No program. Just her, a violin, and a melody composed decades ago. When she packed in a hurry, she left the sheet behind. Back to now. Leona walked toward the corner of the restaurant, where a baby grand piano waited in silence. She lifted the lid. Sat down. Breathed in. Then played. The same melody she had played for Sarah during chemo. The one that made her cry for the first time in months. It floated through the air again, soft, slow, powerful. No one interrupted. No one blinked. But what Leona said after would leave the deepest mark. As the final note lingered in the air, Leona gently closed the piano lid. Then she turned to the room, eyes calm but shining. Her voice barely above a whisper. You forgot the sound of kindness. I came to remind you. No applause. Just breathless silence. Charles stood frozen as two security staff quietly stepped forward. He didn't resist. He didn't speak. He just stared, like he was seeing the place for the first time. Sarah Whitman placed a hand on Leona's shoulder. From now on, she said clearly, this chain belongs to someone who still hears the world. The words echoed louder than Charles's threats ever could. A child clutched his own violin tighter, watching with wide eyes. A chef peeked out from the kitchen, wiping his face with a sleeve. The air had changed. Leona didn't stay for praise. She walked back to her seat, lifted her case, and paused at the piano bench, leaving behind the recovered sheet music. Not because she forgot it. But because she no longer needed it. She walked out of Whitman's that day not as a victim. But as the author of her own melody. And it was only the first verse. If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect on how we treat others before we know who they truly are. And if you believe the quietest strength deserves the loudest support, consider subscribing, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and helping voices like Leona's reach more ears.